And we're live, I believe.
Yay!
Just 1 second. Hello, hello. Just 1 second. I'm going to share the screen, y'all, and see if this video will work tonight.
Has started.
It looks like it is.
But is it? Hang on. Just 1 second. We always get in here a couple of minutes early, and so. I love it when it plays and it kind of went off without a hitch, at least a little bit. Hey, everybody. Hey, Sharon is in the car traveling right now. And she can't hear me. Oh, there you are. And we got Kori. Kori, I'm so excited that you came in tonight to talk about Tahiti.
Yes.
Super excited. Sharon, Sheila's already in here and said, hey. So Sheila and Rebecca, hey, y'all.
Yeah, I figured she'd be the first one.
She is. Sheila is Sharon's daughter. And for everybody that doesn't know, Sharon is actually not only a friend, but she's also a travel agent that kind of came in working with me. And is having a ball. She's just done a road trip today to Cades Cove. And I'm assuming you'll be talking about that Saturday, maybe, Sharon, on your live?
Yes, I sure will.
And we got Kori, who is, I don't want to give up too much information about you, but Kori, what do you do for a living? I'll go ahead and ask you that if you want to share where or whatever.
I'm a therapist currently specializing in addictions and relationships. And been doing that for about 27 years.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Kori is phenomenal at the job that she does. And lots of people love Kori, and she makes a huge difference, working with a very tough population. And, they definitely are the ones that need that little extra push and that little extra kick in the butt sometimes. And Kori's the one there to do.
I'm good to kick in the butt.
Yeah, you can hold somebody's hand and kick them in the butt at the same time. And that's kind of what you have to do.
I have that talent.
Yeah. But now as a therapist, you also have to practice self-care. And that's kind of, I think, where your bucket list trip came in too. It's a very stressful job. And so tell me, how long was Tahiti? How long have you had it on your bucket list?
Oh gosh. I think I was about 13 the first time that I saw some pictures of Tahiti. It might have even been a movie or something. And then through the years, it was something that I'd always wanted to do. While I was married, my husband was really good about whatever we wanted to do, wherever I wanted to go, he made it happen. And so for years and years, it was like, let's go to Tahiti. But he also knows how I travel, and that when I travel, I do it like I have money that I don't really have. So,
yeah.
It's a weakness. But so we would look it up, and I mean, where I wanted to stay and all the things that I wanted to do. I mean, it was going to be a chunk of money that we just didn't have. And so it just always went unfulfilled. And it took until last year. So started at 13 and at 46, I finally got to go.
So now, when did you actually make the trip?
It was the end of July, beginning of August last year.
Okay. So it's been a year since you went.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, the memories have to last you an absolute lifetime, because I've seen your pictures. I saw them when you got back, and you were sharing them. And I was so envious. I was like, man, because first of all, I'm sure you had to save up money for this trip.
A year and a half of savings. Yes.
So, and so that I'm sure made it that much more special that you saved up and were able to do it, because, that's the whole thing about travel, is we're not always able just to pull the money out and go right then.
Yeah, no.
But did it make it that much more special?
Oh yeah, it did. Absolutely. I love what I do. I really, really do. But I work so that I can travel. And I have a second job that I pretty much use entirely for travel money. I just, as soon as I make it, I put it away. It doesn't exist except for that particular travel.
Right.
And the deal that I found for Tahiti was actually it felt like a steal. And I contacted a girlfriend who's always up for travel and who has a little bit more disposable cash than I do. And I said, hey, are you in this with me? And she said, yes. I said, hold me accountable, because I've got to do this. And so, a year and a half of busting my butt. But every time I lost any kind of focus, or every time I felt down, that was my self-care moment. It was okay, but I get to go to Tahiti, so it's worth it.
Right. Now, you went with actually there was you and how many people went?
So, what we ended up doing was, it was like a group tour that actually my cruise agent that I've had for years and years and years and years, she had actually sent me this link for a company called Bamboo. And so we looked into it, and it was this tour that we could go on. We didn't know how many people were going to be on there. We knew it would be no more than 12.
Right.
So it was me and my girlfriend. And then when we got there, we found out that there were just 2 others. So it was just 4 of us and our group leader. And it was fantastic, because by having such a small group, we bonded really fast. Got to do some things that I don't think we would have been able to do if there were 13 of us. It was just kind of amazing, actually. So basically, there were 4 of us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
So you have some pictures, and you've got quite a few. So I'm going to start. I'm going to show them all. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the pictures, and that way, talk about them, add on to it, whatever you want to do. This is your time to kind of talk about Tahiti, because I'm telling y'all, when you see her pictures, and let me say hello to everybody that's in here watching. Victor normally watches the chat. If you'll notice, Sharon is on her phone tonight, so I'm trying to keep in touch with, or keep up with the chat as well. So hello, everybody. But let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to show you some of Kori's amazing pictures, and she's going to kind of talk about them. So, because like I said, Kori, this is absolutely your time to,
Let it shine.
It is your time. So let me get the folder open here, and then I will share my screen. So
let me just talk a little bit about, what we ended up doing. So, there's no way, if I had just gone on vacation to Tahiti, that I did send quite a few, didn't I? Sorry, that's not even half of them.
It is all good. No, I absolutely love having the pictures. So,
but we were able to do so many things. It was a 10-day tour. And when I went with just this awe and this wonder that I was able to even get there. Because again, it had been pretty much a lifetime dream. I felt so lucky to be there. And then as everything was happening and being able to share it with just these 4 people and our guide who was so fantastic. We saw things and did things that I never would have expected. And it was just kind of amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I do not have these pictures, Kori, in any particular order. So
I didn't send them in any order.
can you see the picture? Can everybody see that picture okay? And
I just see a whole bunch of pictures.
oh wait.
That's all I see.
Okay, hang on. Technical difficulty as usual, but that's okay. We will get this. All right, let's see if this one comes up. Can you just see the one now?
Nope, whole bunch of pictures.
Nope.
All right, I will get this.
Technical difficulty.
How about there?
Hey, there we go. All right.
right.
So we stayed in 4 different places, which was one of the other
Thank
pretty
you.
fantastic things. We stayed, this was in Tiahupu, which is the north end of the island. It's where the surfing championships are held every year. The best waves in the world are on this side of the island. And this was kind of like, it was almost like an Airbnb that we were at. So where I was standing was in literally the middle of the road. And so if I turned to my right, these were our houses that we stayed in. And there was a couple who cooked for us every night, who did our laundry.
Oh, wow.
Who had the dog that we played with. I mean, it was amazing. And then to the left was the water. So,
Oh, wow.
kind of
Sharon's home.
amazing.
Hang on.
Sharon's home. I'm
Sharon's
sorry.
home. That's okay. You might want to mute out for just a second, Sharon, and then come back whenever
Okay.
you calm down.
Right. We stayed in this place for I want to say it was 2 or 3 days, and it was just kind of awesome. We did a lot of things in Tiahupu. We actually watched somebody practicing for the surfing championships that were going to happen. I think it was either late August. I think it was late August, actually. It was like 2 weeks away from us being there.
Oh, wow.
So it was just really, really cool. We walked everywhere, which, was not my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Let's be real.
That's the thing about cruising. You have to walk everywhere on a cruise. So, I mean, yeah, I can imagine here.
It
So.
was a lot of walking. But when it wasn't walking, we were on a boat. So can't complain about that.
Cannot complain. You ready for the next one? You ready for me to go to the next one, Kori?
Sure, do it.
All right. Ooh, I see a
Oh,
rainbow.
wow.
Yeah. So it does rain now and again. It's very similar to Hawaii in that manner that there are these little bursts of rain. It did not rain the entire time that we were there, thank goodness. But there were about 2 nights, actually, while we were staying in Tiahupu, that it poured at night. And so in the morning, we were actually driving to our next location, and what we saw, it was gorgeous. But it also kind of shows some of the houses and the landscape that's right off the water.
Right.
Thought it was kind of a good shot that shows just kind of what you see. All the houses are very similar.
Yeah. But, I love the rainbow. And I have a cruise picture that actually, it had rained while we were at sea on our first cruise, and we had the rainbow. I just think it's amazing when you catch a vacation rainbow picture.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh,
have
yes.
caught a few. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. Especially on that vacation, it's kind of like you found your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, Kori.
Yeah, absolutely. All
right, let's see what the next one is. Ah, I love it.
Gosh, so
I
I must have kind of sent them a little bit in order. So that was, we went out on the family that we stayed at that house in Tiahupu. We went out on their boat, and we were maybe out. I mean, we weren't out very far. You could still see the shore, but and this is one of the waves that the guy that was practicing, he was catching barrels like that. And I just thought it was a gorgeous, gorgeous shot. The water was this see-through blue. I mean, you could see all the way to the bottom. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
There was actually a spot on a different side of the island that we were at where so one of the places that we stayed at, and it'll show it in a bit, was in the center of the island. And it's a group of people who have basically denounced French law and have kept the Tahitian culture. And so there's this backstory where when the French came and kind of took over and made it French Polynesia, the Tahitian religion was no longer allowed. And so what they had done was they had these huge statues that were the guardians and the gods. And instead of having them broken by the French that were taking over, this Tahitian group had buried them in the water. And so there's this section that you can go over by boat, and you can snorkel up on top and see down so far. And you can actually see these statues that are standing in a circle in the middle of the ocean. And just being on top with the water being this blue and being this clear, you can actually see them, and it's fantastic.
Well, I'm going to say I've got to steal this picture. It's, to me, this is, Sharon has the picture of the plane, the wing of the plane looking down on the blue hole in Belize. I want to steal that picture, and I need to steal this picture. I think that you could easily, this would be an awesome picture to have framed, Kori.
Oh yeah,
it really,
absolutely.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
the way the wave is,
and the white caps with the sky being like that and the clouds. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It is.
Really
All right.
Captures the beauty for sure.
Yeah, see, I tried to sell Sharon's picture to anybody that wanted to buy one, so I can do the same for you. Anybody that would like to buy this picture, see, Kori, I'm gonna build your vacation fund a little bit more.
I appreciate that.
There you go. You can sell this, have it framed, and all right, let's see what we got next.
Oh my God! So let's talk about the food.
Yes.
Oh my God! I've never had food like this in my life, and I have eaten in some places. Let me tell you.
Yes.
So, first off, the men do all the cooking, which is pretty fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. So the men typically, I mean, there are definitely women who cook, but the men typically go out and they catch the fish in the morning, and then they serve it to you in the afternoon and the evening, and it's so good. So we had so much fresh, I mean, like caught the hour before fresh fish. And we did a lot of sashimi, a lot of raw fish that was marinated in ocean water and then cooked with limes or lemons. And then like this particular one had like a vinegar base. Oh my God, the food was just all so fast. Everything was just so fresh and so flavorful. And people who know me know that I put salt on salt, and nothing needed seasoning, nothing needed anything. It was just so pure and so good. Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, and you said they marinate it in the ocean water though, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you clean it, and then they typically put it in a bowl or a tub or a whatever, and then dip it in the ocean water and just let it sit in that for a while, and then they drain it, and as I say, use citrus to actually cook it, and serve it with whatever veggies and what have you they're serving with it.
Right. So now, do you know what is this called?
Oh gosh. I would have known once upon a time. I really don't remember.
That's okay. Because, you know, I mean, I know that when I went to like Roatan, you know, they had the conch stew was one of their signature dishes.
Yes.
That we tried, but you know, I mean, I don't remember them. I mean, that was easy. Now, if they would have said it to me and it was this long name, or what, I never would have remembered it. So, but the thing is, I bet you will never forget how it tasted.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, and I even like Ari was our guide, and anytime he was, God, he was so wonderful. He was so fantastic. He just knew, he had lived there all his life, but he knew everything that we asked him. And it's me, so I asked him some weird shit. But he gave us a bunch of like recipes for the sauces or the marinades. And one of the first things that I did when I came home was I made a bunch of the sauces and the marinades and did my best to recreate some of the food, but it's just not the same.
It's not the same.
Not
All
the
right,
same.
let's see if the next one's a food picture or not. Nope. Ah,
All right, so we ended up in this I don't even know how to describe it. A place where if you lived there and you were a kid, this is where you went. Um, Normal people would not be able to find this. It's not on any of the like normal tours, or you couldn't just like look it up on a tour guide, like, where should I go for this? When we got there, actually, there were a bunch of native kids that were playing. And of course there was a rope swing or a tree swing, and we kind of Tarzaned it through this area. There was also a little bit of a hike, which did not make me happy at all. We'll talk about the hike later. Those are pictures that
yep.
are later too. But there was a section that was, you can go on this little hike and you end up in this cave. And there were signs everywhere that said, danger, don't be an idiot, don't go swimming in here, you're gonna die. And it was called Eel Cave. And apparently it was one of those where the parent islanders had told all of their kids, don't go in here because the eels will eat you. And it was this wives' tale that was to keep the kids safe. And so this is where they all played instead. And it was basically the waterway. And it was so beautiful. And it was, for me, like I look at that water and it's so blue that in my head I think, oh, blue, it's cold. This
Right.
was like 80-degree water.
Oh wow, bathtub water.
Yes, fantastic. And super deep in the middle, but not super deep on the edges. So, being able to use this tree swing was kind of perfect. And those were two of my girlfriends actually in the water. And then hanging from the top was one of the friends that I ended up making while we were there. She actually lives in Canada.
That's
Did you swing
awesome.
across that?
My fat ass is not much of a swimmer. I tried and I grabbed onto the rope, and thank God there are no pictures of me grabbing onto the rope, letting go, and me just simply falling. I am not graceful.
That is funny.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of, Sharon, have you ever been to the mill pond? It doesn't exactly look like this, but up on Stony Creek in Fort Blackmore.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, the mill pond, Kori, you were talking about this being warm water. This is water straight out of Stony Creek, and
it's cold.
Freezing cold water. Yeah. But whenever you said this is where the local kids would go, that kind of reminded me of that. So Sharon, maybe for your road trip, you need to check it out. It's up kind of not far from where you go to Devil's Bathtub. So
Okay, I'll have to do that.
yeah. All right. I love this picture though. It just shows you having fun,
Yes.
And,
yeah.
That's what it's about. You'll have memories of this,
Absolutely.
Right. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, more food.
More food. Okay. Food. So I get so excited about the food.
Yes.
So again, we stayed in 4 different places. One of the places that we stayed was with these native islanders in the middle of the island. And basically, it's the middle of the volcano. Tahiti is a giant volcano that doesn't exist anymore, or is inactive. And so they live in this center section. And there, the women do cook. And we helped them cook typically breakfast. And then in the afternoon, we would help with some of the dinner prep as well. When we went on this tour, basically you pay for your flight, and you pay for the tour itself, and then everything else, of course, is covered. And in return, what you get for this ridiculously reduced price is you have to help in certain situations. So we helped at a turtle farm, and then we also helped at this compound, basically is what it was. And we helped to build a dance studio for them. You have these classrooms that are outside because they're a self-contained community. And so we would help
Cool.
with the physical labor during the day for a few days, and then we would help cook at night. And this was a curry dish. It was chicken, and holy moly, this was another recipe that I brought home. And even the salad dressing was
Yeah.
fantastic. And of course, everything homemade, everything killed fresh, everything just as and oh God, just so good. And we all sat down and kind of ate family style. It was just really wonderful.
That's awesome. It looks good. You know, you were talking about the salad dressing. It sure isn't like Hidden Valley Ranch or anything, is it? It don't come out of the bottle, that's for sure.
Not so much. No. As I say, it was one of the recipes that Ari gave us before we left, and it's actually in my fridge right now. I dip things in it all the time.
Okay, let's see. Is the next one going to be food? Let's see. No, look at that water.
Oh, yes. So obviously we spent a lot of time in the water. We did a lot of just free swimming and free diving, just kind of hanging out together. We would go out on the boat and we'd see a pretty spot and we'd be like, stop, we want to swim here. And then we'd jump off and we'd kind of just do our own little exploring. So this is, you know, not too far out from shore, which was, you know, with it being that blue, you think you've gone miles and miles away, but the whole island looked like this. And for people who, you know, don't go in the water because you can't see your feet and you want to know what's swimming up at you, I can tell you, it's a little scarier when you can't see things.
It is, yeah. That's the way it was in Grand Cayman when we went.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we were with the stingrays. We were
Yes.
swimming with them, and you know, it's scary when you see all of them around. Sometimes you wonder if it wouldn't be easier to not know.
Yeah,
You know,
I grew up, you know, Southern California, and you know, our beaches are crappy. I mean, as soon as you get in the water, you put your feet in the water and they disappear. And I've done a lot of extensive traveling to places where the water does look like this. And you know, in Tahiti, I think, especially some of the places, they just get so used to having people around that
right.
they don't mind you at all. And so, you know, we'd be swimming in an area and something huge would swim past us, and it's like, oh God, I hope you're friendly.
Wow.
Yeah. But listen, I mean, that water is just amazing, and you can see
Yeah.
the different colors of the blue in it.
Yes. Yeah, you can see like right underneath where I am, I'm in the yellow right in the front. The, you know, underneath is all coral. So a lot of coral. And I'll talk a little bit more about the coral in a minute, but there's a lot of coral. So half of the island is black beach, and half of the island is white beach. And that has to do with the coral itself and how the coral breaks down. And so the darker coral is actually healthier and it protects the shoreline from eroding. So
Oh, wow.
there's your little piece of knowledge.
Yeah, well, now that kind of is reminiscent of the Bahamas. You know, they have the pink sand.
Yes.
And when you realize that that's where all the seashells have kind of been ground up, is the reason that that sand has that color. See, I learned something.
Right.
Kind of
Yeah.
handy.
Educational hour.
Yes, it is. I love giving little pointers and tips.
Right.
All right, here we go. So here is your map.
Yes.
And I'm
Okay.
assuming
So
this.
this was on the flight on Air Tahiti, which was the longest flight of my life.
How long was it?
It was 22 hours.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. Even Germany wasn't that long, but yeah, 22 hours. But a lot of people say, I don't even know where Tahiti is. And so I thought this would be good to say, this is where Tahiti is.
Yes.
So there's a nice little set of islands that is basically off of Australia. And so Australia and New Zealand are the easiest ways to get to French Polynesia. But when we saw that map, I have seen a bunch of maps since going, and every time I have to search and go, okay, where is it? Like, because it's really hard to find.
It is. I mean, I would say because it's small, right? In comparison to everything else on here.
Yeah. I believe, if I remember correctly, there are 9 islands. So it's Tahiti and Moorea, which we were also on for a little while, Bora Bora. So all of those are in that little section there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
22 hours. Woo.
Yeah.
That's a long time on a plane.
And I'm sure it was because you were so excited to get there. It absolutely probably seemed like 48 hours instead of 22.
Yeah, and I'm not that person who can sleep on a plane. I mean, it was, my girlfriend and I had a 3-seat row to ourselves, which was nice. She was out cold. And I just kind of stayed up and watched the seat, monitor in front of me. And so it took a little longer because I couldn't sleep.
Right. Okay, let's move on and see what we got next. Oh,
okay.
This was the one on the banner
Look
today.
at that.
So, okay, so I'm probably gonna cry. So,
Aw.
those people that when you are around them, you just have this calm. This is Mato. So Mato is known all over the island. He's actually known on all of the islands. He has become kind of the spokesperson. You can actually watch videos about Tahiti, and Mato will be in them. This man always has a smile on his face. He speaks with very broken English, but he is Mr. Miyagi. This man, he knows everything about the island. He is one of those that, he can put his hand on a rock and he'll tell you what ancestors had touched it. He's that guy. We went on a hike. I had dreaded it for a year and a half because Kori's not a hiker. And this was not a normal, like, hey, let's go on a hike. Like, this was down a narrow cliff and then up a bunch of rocks that are made for goats and then across the water and over the bamboo. Oh, it was awful. And of course, I'm fat and I'm out of shape. And so I started falling behind. Well, here's Mato, who is with one hand making the wreath that's on my head, with the other hand holding me up so that I had some kind of balance. And he was singing the whole time. And when I would get frustrated and he knew that I was getting frustrated, the very first time he said, do you want to take a break? No, I don't want to take a damn break. And I'm a little stubborn. And so then what he would do was every once in a while when I was getting out of breath or when he could see that I was tearing up, he would stop and he would say, look at those mountains. So this is a little story. And he would stop and he would tell a story so that I would have to take a break. He was so fantastic. And at a point where I was getting ready to give up, we had reached water, we had reached this creek, and he points and he says, do you see that white line over there? And it was a waterfall. And I said, yes. He says, that's where we're going. And I burst into tears. And I was like, it's so far away. And he goes, it's not, it's just one step. And I was like, no, motherfucker, that's a whole lot of steps. Like, but he just kept guiding me on. And when we got there, actually, and I believe there's a picture of the waterfall in there, but when we got there, he put his hand on my face and he said, you can accomplish anything. He says, you are strong and you are courageous and you are amazing and you can't do it yourself. I mean, he was the best motivational speaker ever. And it was just because he believed so much in the island and in what it had to give. And he was the epitome of what Tahitian folks are like. They are all so welcoming. They're all so warm. They're all so tied to the island and to the culture. One of my favorite things is that, we were learning language as we were going along. And so we had asked, how do you say sorry? And there is no word for sorry, because Tahitians don't believe in having to say sorry. You just fix it. You just do it better. And it's a lesson that's in my head. You just don't wrong people. And, if you bump into somebody, you say, excuse me, or, you nod at them and say, have a good day, but there is no sorry. You just do it better. And Monto just instilled so much in me. And I actually kept him on this picture. Actually, it's on my fridge right now. I had it on my phone as a screensaver for a while. Anytime I lose any kind of motivation, or if I need a self-esteem boost, or if I just need to remind myself who I am, then I put Monto up there, because he was amazing. It was amazing who he was for us.
Now, how long were you in Tahiti when you went, Kori?
We were there 10 days.
Okay, so in 10 days, this man, you formed that. I mean, he must have had, he has to be larger than life to have that kind of impact on people.
We only spent 3 days with Monto. 3 days.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just awesome. Some people have that power to kind of instill that into people. I mean, how awesome is that?
Val, you know me, really well. And I don't say this often, but the time with him was life-changing. I mean, it was truly life-changing.
Just
That's
looking at his face, you can tell.
Yeah. Oh man, he just looks like somebody that everybody should want to get to know, and it truly, you can see that how, I mean, to be able to encourage you to not give up, I mean, just keep going, one foot in front of the other, and to force you in his own way to say, no, you have to take a break, because, I mean, that's just, you sure he wasn't a therapist too there, Kori? Because that kind of seems like a therapist.
Everything.
Yeah. All right. So you look so happy there.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good moment.
Yeah. All right. I hate to move on, but let's see what's next.
Oh.
Okay. So this was one of the other places where we stayed. So this is the stereotypical, Tahiti place to stay. And that's my girlfriend on the balcony there. So we actually went to Moorea, which is one of the neighboring islands of Tahiti. And we ended up doing a little bit of volunteer work on Moorea as well. But we stayed in the over the water hut. And what I should have sent you was the picture of the bathroom, because holy crap, the bathroom was fantastic. It was just this big, wide open thing, and the shower was covered with like ivy, a bunch of greenery and plants. And the way that it got watered was you took a shower, and it was just and it was all in this little hut that just looks so, so obscure, and this just looks like it doesn't have anything in it, but wow, it was fantastic. And to hear the water all night long, to wake up and just be right there, and there were so many fish just right under us. It was insane. It was absolutely insane.
Now, are you in the water taking the picture?
Yeah, I actually, so you can kind of see where it goes from water to kind of lighter. That's actually beach. Oh, okay. And so we weren't too far off of actual shoreline. And so I'm probably standing right on the shoreline.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It just looks so peaceful and relaxing.
It was my favorite place that I think I've ever stayed in my entire life. And as I said, when I travel like I have money. So I've stayed in some fishy places. But this place was, this was my ideal place. It was fantastic. Fantastic.
That is awesome. All right. Let's see. Okay, what we got here?
Okay, so this would have been Eel Cave. And so this was the entrance to Eel Cave, because of course we went in. You know, you're not supposed to.
Mhm.
We went in.
Don't tell Kori she can't do something, because guess what? She's gonna do it.
Look, we were with the local. We did what he said.
That's right. You had permission.
Exactly. Permission.
right.
We were told.
That's
But
right.
we went into Eel Cave, but I thought this was a lot of what we saw. So if it wasn't water, it was kind of forest, and this was the forest. This is what it looked like. So there would be rock formations, and then trees, and then, you know, the local flowers, and everything was just so lush and so beautiful. Even, you know, when you were up against a cave, I mean, it was insane how pretty everything was. So I sent this one kind of specifically because it just kind of showed what the rest of the island looks like. You know, everybody sees pictures of Tahiti and they see, you know, the surf, you know, they see the water and they see the shoreline. But this is the other half of it that I don't know that everybody goes to see. And I'm not even a mountainy person, but man, it was beautiful.
We went to St. Kitts, and it kind of reminds me, we went into the rainforest of St. Kitts, you know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of, you would see, you know, the greenery, and then the rock, and the, you know, so that's kind of reminiscent of that for me. And I'm sure even in Belize, right, Sharon?
Oh yeah.
You see
Yeah.
kind of some of this, because everybody does, you know, they always show, you know, the island part of it, and the beach and the water, but you don't always get to see this part. So thank you for sending that.
Yeah. And even,
So,
you know, walking through and hiking to get to that, like a normal tourist wouldn't have gone because they wouldn't have known to go. You know, it's not like it's something that's like on the map. It's, you know, it's one of those where you go because you know where to park your boat. So it's undisturbed, and you know, you don't run into a whole lot of people. And so there's something kind of cool about that. It was just it was a private moment. It was kind of cool.
Right. Well, I think too, this is the benefit of doing some, I mean, of course, doing excursions, you know, when you go off now, this was not really, I think of cruise excursions, you know, and I make sure I try to book those, because the locals are going to take me and show me things I'm not going to find if I try to see the islands by myself.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, just
And
as an example, on day 4, we decided, we were sitting around at dinner and we decided we didn't have internet service most of the time. So when we did, we went a little crazy. So we got on day 4 and we started looking at, I think it was Travelocity, and it was like, whoa. It was like, what are the, you know, 10 best things to do when you're in Tahiti? On day 4, we had already done all 10 of them. We had already seen everything that Travelocity had listed, and had also done a whole bunch of other things, and hadn't even finished, you know, half of our trip. So it was kind of amazing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so that you're going to be definitely, you know, take advantage of the locals' knowledge, you know, and all right, let's see what we got. I love this picture.
Yeah. So again, just we were out on the boat a lot, and the mountains, Tahiti is very, very mountainous, and and you'd think that a lot of it was untouched, but again, the locals have gone to all of these places, and Monto has been on every peak, and, you know, on the mountain. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was just one of those where we were riding along and it just kind of showed the terrain.
Yeah, Melanie said beautiful mountains, and you're right, Melanie, they are. I mean, and I think when we think of the islands or tropical destinations, we think of all flat.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're really not. I know St. Kitts was another one. When we pulled into that port, I wasn't expecting to see the mountains.
Yeah.
And to see the mountains, it was just like, hey, I'm home. If I could live right here, and I think that's kind of one of the draws to there for me, is I would have the mountains with the ocean, you know. If you all, well, before I flip to this next picture, if anybody's got any questions for Kori about Tahiti, please make sure to type them in the chat. I am watching the chat. I'm just not able to respond to everybody, but I will stop and we'll answer a question if you have it.
Absolutely.
love this.
Oh, that is
Um,
beautiful.
so there are waterfalls throughout. And when we were in the little compound, it's really not what it's called. It was a community, but in the middle
I'm thinking of
the
Waco or whatever.
it sounds really
You're
bad.
saying that.
In this little community. So what you would do is you would work hard all day. Again, like the classrooms and the space where they taught the kids, it was pretty much all just dirt. And so we would work all day in the dirt, and then this is where we would cool off. And so we would just kind of climb down the rocks and we get in the water, and nobody's here because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of this group of families that have decided to stay away from everybody else. And so it's just so pure, and it was so beautiful. And this was not 80-degree water. This was a little colder than that, but it was definitely refreshing at the end of the day.
Right, when you're all hot and tired, and
Exactly.
you definitely want to be able to go and cool off. But I could just, now, would you jump off into it, or?
No, we actually kind of very carefully stepped into it.
Okay,
It
I
was a
started
little,
to say.
yeah, it was a little bit of a climb. We had to kind of, again, kind of traverse some rocks to get into it. And I went the very first day, but then after that, I couldn't go because of the stupid hike. I literally needed help getting up off the toilet for a few days. My legs
Oh,
weren't working.
Gosh.
Oh,
So,
But you did it. You did
I
it.
did.
You
I
still
did.
did it.
But I stayed actually on this particular one. The three others were going down, and I stayed up on top because I knew I wasn't going to be able to go down or back up the rocks because my thighs were not working.
Right. Oh, goodness. But it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it really, really was.
Oh, all right. Who's
Oh.
this?
All right, so this is Ari. Ari is our guide, and so he was the one who picked us up from the airport, dropped us back off. We spent all of our time in his car. We actually got to eat. He cooked for us on the last night, and we were in his home. And normally they don't get to do that because the groups are much larger, and they go where they're supposed to go. But because we all got so close, he actually brought us into his home. And actually on the very first day when we arrived, the girlfriend that I went with, she got really, really sick. I think it was just one of those where, we had flown for so long and she hadn't eaten correctly, and she's got some health issues anyway. And so when we got there, she was really, really nauseous, and it was just a lot of travel illness. And so when we first got there, he actually drove us to his house and had her sleep in his bed, and said, just text me when you're ready. And we went off and did more stuff until she woke up and felt better. And then we went back and, picked him up. So, but they have like a Polynesian center. And so we were taught how to do some dances, and he went ahead and got in full garb for us and then did some dancing for us. And
Cool.
so we got a picture of him. He was very uncomfortable, actually. He was a super shy guy, but we brought it out of him.
So now is the dancing, I think when I, of course, I think of Hawaii and the hula. Do they do similar to the hula?
It is. It's similar. It's their own thing, but it's very similar in terms of dance is speak. So it would tell stories, and the stories would be, typically love stories, and it's all done with your hips. So, yep.
So you get your exercise while you're telling the story. So,
correct. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. That was a really fun. And behind him, you can't really see it, but that's okay. Behind him, you can't really see it, but the black that you see back there is actually all rock, and like big rock. And then the ocean was coming up on that. So the Polynesian Center was kind of stuck right on the edge of the water, which was really kind of cool. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we saw the next picture coming up.
Go for it. So the manatee that you see in the water there, that's me. So, along with our two others from our group. So when we were on Moorea, we hooked up with a group called the Coral Gardeners, And if you Google them or, look on Facebook, the Coral Gardeners are on there. So it was a group of kids, literally kids, who grew up on the island and realized that the coral was dying. And so if the coral dies, eventually all of Tahiti, all of Moorea, all of Bora Bora erodes and you have no island. So at 18 years old, Tituan put together with a bunch of his friends the Coral Gardeners, and what they did was they learned how to grow coral and then plant it in what they called potatoes. They were these big rocks that they drilled holes in, and then they plant the coral, and then when it got big enough, then they would put it out into sea, and they basically replenished. And they started it just on their own at 18. They're now 22, and it has become a worldwide thing where they have people donating to them all the time. And one of the things that they did was we got to plant our own coral. So we go under, we find our baby coral that they've been growing, and then we put it in the potato, we plant it, and we got our picture taken with our coral, and we got certificates. We own that coral, and when it gets planted somewhere, we will have the coordinates to where our baby coral is.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And actually, anybody can do it. You can purchase, you know how you can purchase your own stars. Like, you can purchase your own coral. You don't even have to go. You can pick out what you want it to look like. They'll send you a picture of your coral, and then they'll send you the coordinates for where your coral is going to be in the world to help save the islands. And it helps to fund their program.
That is
neat.
Wow.
For anybody that's watching, you might check that out. For anybody that, because that's awesome. I never knew there were programs like that.
Yeah. What was it called?
Coral Gardeners. Yeah.
Coral Gardeners. See, folks, this is something you got to be here to and hearing from people that have lived this experience to find this stuff out. But that's awesome. I'm gonna tell Steve, I don't want to just go online and do it. He's got to take me to Tahiti now so I can
absolutely it's way more fun. Yep.
Yeah.
What else is really cool? So let me to my left on this picture.
Hang on, let me go back.
It's okay. To my left on this picture in the bikini. So that's Sandy. She's the one from Canada. So Sandy can't swim. And our deal was if I did the hike, she would do all the things with water. She was terrified the entire time. But you can see that her other arm isn't showing because she's actually holding on to somebody. So she was scared to death every time we went into the water, but the four of us would not let the others not do something. We just pushed through it and we figured out how to make it happen. And then we'd have a little therapy session afterwards because, a little bit of trauma. But a little bit. But I just thought it was really cool. We ended up going with, a bunch of strangers, and we all came back just really having shared experiences that we would not have shared if there were, more of us. And we really helped push one another, which was kind of cool. So
that is amazing. You were each other's accountability partners in this.
Heck yeah. Yep.
And it also comes in handy that you had a therapist in the group. So there you go. You can address that trauma right then and there. But you know what? Those are memories. And, I know you all formed friendships. So I'm assuming, are you still communicating with her?
Yes. And with Christine, the other one. Christine was from Australia, and we all have said to one another, like, hey, whenever you want to come to this part of the world or this part of the world, just let us know, and you're more than welcome to stay here. And so even that was nice. Like, when I'm ready to go to Australia, I'm headed to Christine's house. And then when I want to go to Canada, I'm headed to Sandy's.
Right. Well, and that's awesome because you all shared these memories together and you would not let the others not experience it, so you pushed each other to make the most out of it. So that's awesome.
Those are memories in itself.
Yeah.
All right. So again, this was one of the places that we were working on when we were up in the not compound, in the community. So this was one of the huts. This is where they were doing a lot of their like teaching and what have you. I believe that was, oh man, maybe that was where they were doing like their English lessons and stuff. But so this is kind of what it looked like in terms of like the rural part of things. It was, this is off the grid. There's not a whole lot, there's not a hustle and bustle. You got to drive an hour, down the mountain to get to the grocery store kind of thing. But obviously it's beautiful, it's untouched. And as you can see, the mountains aren't as high because we are up in them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Oops. I went backwards.
Yes, you did.
Oh.
So,
The mosquito net looks like.
Right. My brother told me what it looks like. Yeah. So, when we were up in this community, again, it was very primitive. So we had mats that we slept on, and these were our mosquito nets. So literally we slept in our own little mosquito nets in these little huts that I think I also sent a picture of. And it was all four of us on basically what I can describe as a bench in a wooden lean-to. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like. This was the campiest experience I've ever been in. When we peed, we had to completely like get out of our tent and then get out and put on our shoes and walk through it was definitely an experience. But it was such a cool experience. And again, it was the four of us, that's all that fit in this little hut. But we spent a few days there, and it was so different from anything that I would have done. Like, I don't stay in mosquito net places on a mat. But man, it was a cool experience.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you, Kori, is if you had the option to go to Tahiti and stay in a 5-star resort, but not have half of the experiences that you had, or to do it this way and have all of these memories and this experience, which one would you prefer, or which one would you do?
I would 100% sleep in that mosquito net again.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so different. Like in my head through the years, when I said I was going to Tahiti, I never pictured this. Like, this is not how Kori vacations. And so that's why, it's one of the reasons why we never went, because I mean, it was going to be a $100,000 trip for us. And this was definitely not that, but we had these experiences that, there's no way I would have ever done any of this stuff without this. I mean, it was the experience of a lifetime.
Yeah, because I mean, anybody can go and just go lay on the beach and, maybe do some shopping and go to some of the restaurants. But I mean, this was literally some amazing experiences.
We were immersed in all the different culture. Absolutely.
So, there is a more affordable way to vacation. Sometimes you just have to step outside of your comfort zone.
Yep, so, definitely did.
All right, what's next? Water, mountain.
Swimming again, every opportunity that we had to jump in the water, we did. And Ari was always good with, there they are, they're going in the water again. And whoever we were with, there were 3 or 4 different captains that we ended up on, different boats that were just like family owned boats. And they were all, so gracious. Again, it's that Tahitian spirit, whatever we wanted to do, however we wanted to experience it, they allowed it. And actually this particular one, we were on the guy's boat that was at the very beginning, the kind of the Airbnb that we stayed at. And so his boat didn't have a ladder. So again, Kori's a little overweight and not real physically fit. So when you have 2 men who are hoisting you out of the water, that's an experience too. But I did not let it stop me.
Just hoist away, guys. That's all I can say. Yep, hoist away. Oh gosh, I'm so envious. Oh,
more food. So we basically had a welcome night, the second night that we were there, and we went to some friends of Ari's, our guide, and we got served some amazing food that they made for us, again, kind of family style. And you can see again more of the raw fish, which was just our favorite. I mean, we had it in every possible sauce. And then spare ribs, and I mean, and again, everything's just so fresh and so flavorful and so healthy. You know, and we had to, that was just one of my plates, and I'm pretty sure I went back at least 2 more times.
So now you say it's raw fish, but it's actually, I think you talked about it earlier. It's kind of cooked in a citrus juice though, right? Or is it?
Yeah, it's I'm not really sure what that actual method is called, but yeah, it's
Is that ceviche?
probably, maybe.
Maybe. I watch the cooking channel every once in a while. I'm not a chef, but you know, I know a few terms just from, you know, cooking shows, but and I may be wrong on it, but so I've never tried raw fish. But
see, I'm a fan. And actually a lot of it was legit just raw. They, you know, not every time was it marinated in the citrus. Sometimes it was just, you know, cut up sashimi and then put with whatever, you know, marinade was going with it. And then
I don't know that I could do it.
Oh God. I'm telling you though, you know, if you put yourself out there and you go ahead and you try it, what ends up happening is you go, wow, again, I never would have done this, but I'm so glad that I did, you know?
Well, and you know, that's kind of what I do when I do cruise and when I do go to the islands. I do try to find something and at least try it. So I guess that's why I stepped out of my comfort zone and did the escargot. Which, believe it or not, I love it. So would I order it anywhere else? Probably not. Do what?
It's straight buttered. It's fantastic, of course.
Yeah, it just kind of reminds me of mushrooms. You just have to put out of your head that you're eating snails. You know, I mean, you're only going to live once, so why not try it?
Yes,
so,
and obviously, you know, if a whole island eats like this, then who am I to not eat like this? And thank goodness I did. Like I was, oh man, the food, the food.
Yeah. Well, I say it looks delicious. So money.
So one of the things that I love when I travel is just the currency and how different it was. And this picture does not do the currency justice. So not only was it super pretty, super colorful, had fish and turtles on it, which, you know, of course is par for the course, but all the fish and the turtles and the whatever it was that was on it was in this like shimmery, silvery, like rainbow fish kind of stuff. So it was the most beautiful money ever. So yeah, I loved the currency. And basically, whatever you see, if you take 2 zeros off of it, that's the exchange.
Right. Well, now currency is one thing, it's my souvenirs. When I go on a trip, that's what, you know, I'll make a purchase if it's a place that takes US dollars.
Yeah.
I'll make a purchase with my US dollars and I'll ask for their currency back as change.
Yeah.
And then I bring it home with me because that's my souvenir. So, but anyway, I love money from different countries.
Yep. All right, so this is the outside of the mosquito net home. So these are the huts that we were in.
Oh, wow.
And one of the pictures that I didn't send. So because there are no like outside lights at this particular place, because again, it's very primitive. And so in the middle of the night, we would get up to pee, or, you know, just, well, there was one night where Sandy and I couldn't sleep, and then Christine and I couldn't sleep. And so we went out and we were just looking at the stars. And I have never before actually seen, you know, certain constellations, because we're on the wrong side of the world a lot of times, because when you are on the right side of the world, you end up with so much light pollution that you still can't see it. Well, Scorpio was out. And we had one of the moms that was living there pointed out to us and talk about, I mean, she was teaching the old school, this is how things ended up in the sky. And so, it looks like this, so primitive, but one of the advantages was I have never seen a sky like that before. And we actually, on my camera, like on my piece of crap Android, I caught Scorpio in the sky, and it was fantastic.
Wow. That's awesome. See, guys, those are experiences you're not going to have. I mean, you go, like I said, this is just, you wouldn't, if you would have been in that 5-star hotel I asked you about a while ago, you wouldn't have had someone there necessarily that would have shared that. And, I mean, it's just those experiences. I'm
Absolutely.
so envious. More food.
Ooh.
Are you sensing a theme with the food?
I'm seeing a theme. So,
oh gosh, yeah.
I see raw fish.
Yes, we were actually at a restaurant for this one. And yeah, it's fish, and more fish, with a little bit of coconut rice in the center for good measure. And again, it was so pretty. It was just so well put together. And I cannot tell you how large that plate was. Huge plate of food. And so fresh and so fantastic. The food.
Makes you want to go back to Tahiti just to eat the food again, right?
Oh, if I could, I would.
Yeah. More food.
More food. All right. So let me tell you about this day. And I know I sent you a couple other pictures. So this day was probably my favoriteest day ever. Okay, I mean, I was happy when my kid was born, but my favoriteest day ever. So we went out on the water, and the water was rough that day, so it was a little hard for a couple people. But we ended up first off swimming with a couple stingrays, and that were just kind of wild. And then she followed us, the stingray, the pregnant stingray, pregnant with 7 babies. How do I know? Because we felt them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was insane. So she followed us. You can't really see, but like behind those legs, is the water. So we ate on the water. We met up with a couple of Ari's friends who had gone fishing earlier that day, and they had made us this spread, and it was, to this day, it's the best food I've ever put in my mouth. Everything was so fresh and so flavorful and so fantastic. And we ate on a picnic bench that was in the water with Marguerite, the pregnant stingray, swimming around our feet, asking for handouts.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And I think you sent me the picture of the stingrays, I believe.
I did. Yeah.
So let's see what we got. Oh, that's not it. But what's this one?
That's not
Get
it.
to the stingrays.
So this would be where we hiked.
Oh, this brings back bad memories.
Yeah,
Is this traumatic for you, Kori?
Very true. You know how excited I get about the food? This is the opposite of that.
Yeah, this is the opposite feeling.
Yeah. So we went up and over that mountain, so that we could get to a waterfall. I love waterfalls. I hate hiking. So I basically took this picture. We were in the middle of that community, and this was from basically from the entrance of the driveway to the houses themselves, or the huts themselves. This was the view of what was surrounding.
Okay. Let's see. Oh,
Look at that.
Yeah, so those are that was us. That was the 4 of us. And it was on our second to last day, and we had just bonded so totally. We were in front of very similar to like a banyan tree, except this one was like something like 2,000 years old or something crazy. It was huge. There's no way to explain how huge it was. And part of it was, you can kind of see there are like 3 separate like trunks, and there were like 30 separate trunks, and the whole thing, is monumentally huge. So we were just standing in front of it, and just loving each other.
Yeah. Well, you said this was the second to the last day, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And it's always when you get to that point, do you all experience that sense of dread almost. It's like it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
And so, but
Yeah.
I mean, man, you've had some amazing memories through this.
Yeah. So this was a whole different cave that we went to, and we did this on the very first day. This was when Ari, our guide, realized that the four of us were going to be a little wild.
Y'all? No.
Right. So we were going to be a little inappropriate. So my girlfriend Nikki and I, so I took a picture, and basically at the end of the picture, towards the bottom of the page, is a chain. And I don't know why that chain's there, because it didn't stop us from going in. And we went in this water that was so cold, so cold, and dripping from the top was just water coming down from rock. I don't know. There were fish and eel and things that don't need light to swim in. The dark spot back there, we swam all the way back to the dark spot. Because actually is an ending. It's not like a through and through cave. And so we swam all the way to the back. We could touch for about halfway, and then you have no idea what's underneath you, because
Oh my
literally
gosh.
it's black.
Oh.
Ooh.
We told Ari, hey, if we're gonna go in, you're coming in with us. And he was like, okay.
Well, so nothing got you. So
Nope.
you lived to tell about it.
Yeah, we
So-
definitely had a few things that swam up against us and was like, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I know I'm in your territory. Please don't eat me.
Oh, so hey, I got a question, because Steve will always ask when we go on trips about like critters and things there. Did you see anything that could potentially kill you there?
No, so this was one of the
Good.
great things. So we had Christine, who is from Australia, where basically everything wants to kill you.
Everything will kill you.
Yeah. And here we are on this island where there are no bugs. There are no bugs. There are no bugs.
Well,
None.
there has to be mosquitoes now, right? I mean, 'cause
Okay,
you had
so-
mosquitoes.
Yes. There
Okay.
were up in that little section there, these little tiny little and man, they loved me. But other than those guys, like, there are no spiders on the island. There are no creepy crawlies. There are snakes. We didn't see any. But basically it was explained to us that they just were never introduced. And so, like, you didn't even see a fly or a bee. I mean, there was a whole lot of nothing. It was just it's a lot of fish. That's kind of it. And depending upon which island you're on, Tahiti had all the stray dogs and Morea had all the stray cats. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Here's Kori, and I'm assuming, is this on your hike, Kori?
Yeah. So this was kind of a disappointing moment. So we had already done about a half an hour of truly, I mean, I realize that I'm a drama queen, but it was treacherous. We went straight down this, again, kind of a goat trail. And then we, went over a bunch of ginormous rocks. And then we kind of went under a bunch of like those banyan tree kind of, stringy vine things. And we came across this spot right here. And I thought we were at the end. We were not at the end. We were not even close to the end. And so when they said, okay, let's keep going, I was like, what? We're not done.
I could see it in your face.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, and have you all ever had those moments where you're like, okay, I can do this? And this was like me going across the swinging bridge at Grandfather Mountain, across the bridge.
Yeah.
You get across and you celebrate, but then you remember you got to go back.
Oh, trust me, I had that moment. Yeah, when we actually got to the final place, Monto had said, congratulations, you did all of these things. And then I started crying again. And he's like, why are you crying now? I'm like, because I have to go back.
Oh gosh. Was it an easier walk back than it was to get there, though?
I think it was partially
Yeah.
because at that point I kind of knew what to expect. Hell,
Right.
with what I came to expect, but I had already done it, and I knew I had done it, and Mato was still helping me, and he had actually given me that. He had made a walking stick for me, which, man, that makes a difference. So I would have the walking stick in one hand, and I'd have his hand in my other hand, and that kind of got me through. So yeah.
Well, and you had your friends that were not going to let you quit either, right? I mean, they
Oh
would
no,
not.
those guys got tired of waiting, and they all went ahead.
Oh, they'll just leave you. They'll pass you on the way coming back out.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Yeah, we all took the same time when we came back. They actually let me lead. But at the beginning, it was like, you guys just go ahead. So
yeah.
so we went to
All right.
a mall one day, and we're just kind of wasting time. We were just kind of spending time, and we were in like a parking garage, a normal parking garage, and this was on the entrance. And so Yorana is, welcome. It's Tahitian welcome. And then of course we're in French Polynesia, so bienvenue. So I just took a sign just so that we have that as a, these were, Yorana, we said to everybody, just hello, welcome. So we did our very best to learn a bunch of Tahitian words. It was kind of interesting. We had asked Ari at the beginning, like, what if we slaughter it? Like, if we really screw up the words, are Tahitians going to get upset? And he's like, oh no, we're going to be so thrilled that you're trying. And they really were like, we would butcher some of the things that we said. Yeah. And you could just see it on their faces. Like, they were just so grateful that we put in any effort at all. So Yorana is hello. Yeah.
So did you work on learning it before you went?
No,
No.
You would think, but no. We got in the car with Ari as we were driving around, and we're like, okay, how do we say this? How do we say this? How do we say this? The first things we asked for, of course, were cuss words. And
I can see that with Kori, yes.
Of course. I kept a running list in my phone of basically like sounding it out, and so, writing it the way that it sounds. So completely, if a Tahitian had looked at my list, they'd be like, what is this? But, if you actually hear it said, that way we knew that we were pronouncing things correctly, at least. So, yeah.
So you had like the Ebonics Tahitian language. Is that what we're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, there they are.
Yep. So these guys were actually just in this section, very similar to like Cayman Islands has it, Belize has it, like the spot where kind of all the tourists go to see
Stingray City.
Stingray. Yeah, it's very similar. So we did go there, and there were nurse sharks, but these little guys kissing, I don't know, it was cute. And
That's
this
awesome.
was down far enough, again, like, look how clear this water is. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it was just so beautiful.
All right. Look at that.
Yep. So we were on the Black Beach side of the island, and this was Papite. And so this is basically when you fly in, this is where you're going to be. And it was, I'm not around a whole lot of black beaches, but the sand was just gorgeous, which made the water gorgeous. It was just insanely beautiful. And we did some cleanup on our second day there. Again, it was part of the deal, part of the sweetness of it. You pay, virtually nothing, but you sweat. And we ended up picking up, it was something like, I want to say 87 pounds of trash.
Wow.
Just the five of us. And we did it on this beach.
That's beautiful. There again, you could sell that picture.
Oh, that was gorgeous.
Yes, it could.
Oh.
So this is Marguerite.
The pregnant one, right?
She would not leave me alone. I got into the water and she became my best friend. It might have been because I had food in my hand, but even once she had the food, she just wanted to swim all over me, and I was totally okay with it. And you can see like the little fish that were all around her. Apparently nature protects nature. So what we were told was that the little fish are basically her guards against the outside world that might hurt her while she's pregnant. And so they kind of give warning if there's a predator or somebody around that shouldn't be there. And so when there's anybody around her that's not normal, they swarm her. And so that's why they were all around her, making sure she's okay.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
Look at that. And I love the water again. Oh.
So this was at the end of the hike. That was us. We all got in the water and went to this waterfall and just swam out there. And, Sandy grabbed onto my back and I basically, swam with her on my back to get to that spot. So we could take that picture. That was kind of cool.
That's awesome. Look at the water.
Yeah, just a water shot. Like this was on the boat. Like it was ridiculous.
That looks like a swimming pool, that blue, because of the sides being painted the blue in a swimming pool. That's what that looks like,
It does.
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was insane.
Look.
So the second night when they cooked for us and we had our family meal, this was their home. And so we took a picture on their deck and that was us already bonding and being silly. And yeah.
Awesome.
It was a good group. This is my favorite.
Another beautiful.
This is my screensaver, actually. It's on my phone. So the very first night and the very last night, we stayed in Hotel Tahiti. And it's basically just one of the shishi hotels that everybody's, on a first or second floor. Everybody has an outside room. We had, you step out onto the greenery and then you step out onto the black sand beach. There were no real waves to speak of. It was very calm. So this was sunset on our very last night. And it's a pretty cool, this was my real souvenir. Like that was our last night and that was what we got to see.
This is absolutely beautiful.
That's breathtaking.
I don't know how many more we got left here. Oh, let me go back to this one. All right. So you got a preview of what's coming after this. I think the sea turtle's close to the end, but anyway.
So this was just, one of our walks over in Tiahupu. This is kind of just a great view of what it looked like. One side the water and the other side, are the homes for the locals that stay on this part of the island. Again, this was just kind of a good shot of what life kind of looks like on a daily basis for everybody.
Yeah. Melanie Goins says, Kori, it looks like a wonderful trip.
Oof, it was.
All right, let's talk about our friend here.
So we went to the Turtle Reserve and we got to learn about how the natives basically put together this reserve to take turtles that they found in the wild that were sick, dying, had something wrong with them, and they would bring them back and they would rehabilitate them. And so this was one of our buddies who he ended up getting hit by a boat, and the injury caused it so that he couldn't dive anymore. He just kind of stayed buoyant, and therefore he was going to starve to death and die. And so they brought him in and they have been teaching him how to dive again and basically just kind of rehabilitating. Yep.
Aww.
Side of the road, literally. Like we just stopped on the side of the road. This is, hey, look, there's a waterfall on the side of the road. Like I just thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, look at that.
That is just beautiful.
So most places have like a marketplace, and this was the marketplace. We went the very first day, and then we went again towards the end, and anything that you want, like the cheap souvenirs, the expensive jewelry, the cheap jewelry, the food, like vendors, like that you would get, like street food, and then like just locals that had their stuff out. So some of it was kind of flea markety, some of it was kind of world market, and some of it was street market, and the place was huge. But it was really kind of it was a cool place with some great stuff for cheap, 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 cheap.
That's awesome.
I love the markets anywhere like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Another pretty picture.
Yeah, sunsets were just amazing. They really were.
Yeah. You can see the black. Is this the black sand? I mean, the beach
Yeah,
back here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like rock too, and shells.
That particular one, yeah. So this was on the
Oh,
Teohupu side. That's okay. This was on the Teohupu side, and so there were a lot of shells on this particular part. This was actually somebody's private beach. The people that we stayed at, this was their private beach.
That's beautiful. I'm a big sunrise sunset person when I travel. And on the last cruise that we went on, I think that was our last picture because then it switched over to one of mine.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me get out of here. I found out that I ended up doing more of the sunrises. I'm an early riser when I'm on vacation, and I missed every single sunset, but I got every single sunrise because during the day you forget to go out, but in the morning I knew.
Yeah.
So Kori, amazing experiences, and the pictures. It was awesome to kind of live that through your eyes because that's what we did. Tonight. And I know that what's on your bucket list next?
So many places. I want to go to Bali, and I want to go to India, Dharamsala, India. I would love to go to Santorini. I want to go everywhere, honestly. But Bali will probably be my next ginormous trip.
Are you already saving up for it?
No, not yet. It's a ways away right now. Like there's an order to my madness.
Right.
It's still a couple years away. So yeah.
Well, I got 2 drawings to do real quick. So let me draw for these people that have hung in here with us. I know that they've appreciated and have loved your experience. So hang on 1 minute. I'm gonna do these 2 drawings real quick, and then we will wrap it up. So the first one is for people that shared the post about tonight's live. Only had a few people, but that's okay. People can watch this on the replay, and we do usually get a lot. So, here we go. He won again, Melanie. Your husband's a winner. Donnie Goen won on that one, and that was for the 3-night getaway, y'all. The 3-night discounted getaway.
Congratulations, Donnie.
And then the next one is for the tablet, the discounted tablet, and that was for the what's on your bucket list thing that I did today. So let me go ahead and choose the winner on this one. Your daughter did it again.
Oh, and she just told me last night she wanted one of those.
Yep, Sheila got it. So we had Donnie and Sheila, y'all. Kori, for you, let me show this so everybody doesn't, I don't ever want anybody to question that's not coming up. There it comes. But anyway, there it is.
Oh, nice.
So Kori, I am going to send you a little something for you coming on talking about this. So be watching your mail for Amazon. But I know we had given you one of the discounted things with the flight and stuff that was a little expensive. Because the flight, anytime it is, I'm going to send you a 3-day getaway also, which is, I think it's $19 to reserve it, and then it's an actual 3 free nights. So
thank you.
You can travel for up to 2 years. You just have to reserve it before the voucher. Yeah, so you just have to reserve it before the voucher expires. But I'm also going to send you something from Amazon. So
cool.
Thank you for coming on. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed hearing about Tahiti, and it made me want to go there even more. So,
Marie, for having me. Like, I had said to you before, it was, as I say, a life-changing experience, and it was something that I had wanted to do all my life. And there are very few things that not only live up to your expectations, but exceed them. And this exceeded my expectations so totally. And so to be able to talk about it and share it and, you know, just kind of relive all of that, it's a heck of a thing for me too. So Maru.
Well, and I'm so glad you got the opportunity to relive it, and we kind of, you know, have a forum here to where you can do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll share
And
this to your timeline too, so
Thank-
that if anyone
those
wants
kind
to
of
watch it.
trips are the best ones
Yeah,
sometimes.
they are. So, Sharon, any final thoughts?
After watching that, it makes me want to say even more. Let's get out and let's go instead of sitting at
Yeah,
the house.
yeah. Kori, you got
That's
any final
amazing.
thoughts, my dear?
You know, so many people say that they can't travel, that they don't have the money. And I can tell you, I'm broke. You know, therapy doesn't pay anything. But you will always make more money. You'll always need more. You'll always get more. So travel now, travel always. Anytime you have an opportunity to travel, travel. Put aside $5, $20, $1, however much you have, put that aside and allow yourself to travel, because there is nothing like the experience of travel. Money will come and go, and it will always be something that we're always going to want more of or say we can't do because I don't have the money. Travel, make it happen.
Absolutely.
I've even said to, instead of buying a Coke or going out and eat one night, put that money up for your trip.
Yeah, guys, and
Twice a
remember,
week.
yeah, guys, remember a lot of times too, when you want to book a trip, if you book through travel agents, or even if you book through Priceline or whatever, I'm going to encourage you always to use a travel agent. You know, especially on a trip to this size, because you know they are going to be able to find information. They're going to be able to search out some of this, but a lot of the suppliers do payment plans. I mean, you
Yes.
can book it 2 or 3 years out and make payments. So, but anyway, we're going to get out of here tonight. Kori, thank you so much. Sharon, thank you.
Thank
Guys, thank you all
you.
for coming in and catching Tahiti. Next
Yes.
week, Victor's mom's actually going to be joining, and we are going to be talking just about U.S. travel in general. So, big thing during COVID. Everybody have a good night.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.